In an attempt to rationalize the origins of architecture, Godfrey Semper proposes that the very first act of architecture should be traced to an idea of adornment and cladding, the cladding of the human form. We can see this manifests itself in various cultures throughout history and across the world, in the form of masks, an abstract and symbolic representation of the human face. Used in war and theater, a mask can gain meaning through its relationship between its wearer and what it represents. In the brief instances they are worn, they are a poetic fiction, meant to represent the microcosmos present on the small stage, a culture's cosmological worldview, condensed into the interactions between the mass actors and the narratives they are portraying. The theatrics of it all suggests a temporal nature in the adornment. As Hayek puts it, his prime interest is in the space created between the outside surface of the face and the inside surface of the mask. The mask is an architectural concept. Although 1657 is the first time the word facade is used in the English language, borrowed from the French and derived from the Italian word facciata, architecture has long been thinking about the layering of faces. From Alberti's facades to the Florentine palazzos, they all wore a mask. While many of them covered up their buildings' previous histories, their permanence caused the idea of a facade to lose much of its meaning. Only through the temporalities of the layering can architecture connect us to the memories of a place. This is reflected in much of Gordon Matta Clark's work. His precise incisions and decontextualization of the architectural elements disassembles any form of permanence a building might have once tried to achieve. Yet, the removal of certain pieces doesn't mean the memory of a place is lost. It is the exact opposite. The memories of a place are retained exactly because of the recontextualization. His deconstructions add another layer to the mask of memory. In Chinese landscape paintings, the superimposed layering of scenic elements suggests a drastically different worldview than a perspectival Western painting. The viewer isn't a passive audience member looking through Alberti's window anymore. We exist somewhere in the layering of space and place, actively contributing to the memory of an environment. Hayek was right after all. The masks he developed toward the end of his career didn't only engage in the history of a place through rational geometric abstractions, but instead, he positioned himself, the architect, within all the historical layers, trying to tease out the memory of a place through iconographical forms, all the while speculating for the future. His masks add to a place. The large, elaborate temporary facades temples in Taiwan build in front of themselves for important ceremonies, or the holiday decorations that adorn the typical American household, they all harken back to Semper's masks, symbolic objects that temporarily elevate the power of a wearer. Masks are architectural.
So here I am after case studies and trying to figure out how to tie in, these materials from the material studies videos into the case studies I've done. And I think I've come to a conclusion. I think materials can exist we can approach this in two different ways, right? Like these could just be weathered arbitrarily, but since I've been thinking a lot about objects and their meanings, I think maybe these materials can take on a more spiritual quality, kind of like this.
You need a small object, potentially heavy, something you can have on you all the time that no one else knows.
Like a coin?
No, it needs to be more unique than that. Like, this is a loaded die. I can't let you touch it, that would defeat the purpose. See, only I know the balance and the weight of this particular loaded die. That way, when you look at your totem, you know beyond a doubt that you're not in someone else's dream.